Good morning, boys and girls. Today we will be learning Lesson 7-2, which is multiplying unit fractions and non-unit fractions by whole numbers. Before we get started, remember that a unit fraction is a fraction that has a 1 in the numerator. Here's your math message. The Social Studies Club wants to make papier-mâché globes to make the paste. Each club member will mix 3/4 of a cup of glue with 1/4 of a cup of water. The club has 9 members. If there is 1 quart of water, is there enough water for everyone? So before solving this, what information do I need? How am I going to know if I have enough water if I don't know how many cups are in a quart? Using this visual aid, this big G represents a gallon. Now if I go to one of the Q's, which stand for a quart, I can see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 cups in 1 quart, and that's the information I need. Here are your 9 members of the Social Studies Club. On the sides, there are each 1/4 cups of water for each of the 9 members. And here are your strategies. You can use repeated addition, or you can use multiplication. Today we're using multiplication. Your number model would be 9 times 1/4 equals your unknown, or x. Multiply the whole number by just the numerator. That answer or product goes over your denominator. So your answer would be 9 times 1/4 equals 9/4. We do have to make this improper fraction into a mixed number in order to see how many cups of water are being used and if we have enough. So 9/4 becomes 2 1/4 cups. So yes, we do have enough water. Here are different pictures to help you figure out how to solve this question. You can write out 1/4 9 times and then separate your whole. So 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4 equals 1 whole. This equals another whole, and you have 1/4 left over. On this side, there's fraction bars. You can split the fraction bars into fourths and then label them for each member of the Social Studies Club. And then down below, we can use fraction circles. So if you take out the 1/4 pieces, you would take out 9 of them and then combine. There's 2 wholes and 1/4. Back to the math message. So we answered the question about the cups of water. Now we need to know about glue. Now remember, each club member needs 3/4 of a cup of glue. There's a 1/2 gallon of glue. So now we have to figure out if there's enough glue for everyone. Before solving, what information do I need? Going back to this gallon picture, how am I going to know if I have enough glue if I don't know how many cups are in 1/2 of a gallon? This picture represents a whole gallon, so we don't need all of these cups. You would split this in half and then count the C's on one side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 cups in a 1/2 of a gallon. Here are some pictures that may help you solve this problem. If you combine 3/4 and 3/4, that equals 6/4. And then taken out of your improper fraction and simplified, it would become 1 1/2. Then you would add the whole numbers, which would be 4, and you can combine the halves. So this half plus this half equals another whole, so that would be 5, and then another half plus another half equals another whole, so that would be 6, and you have 3/4 left over. On this side, fraction circles were drawn and then labeled for what each of the members get. So member 1 gets 3/4, member 2 3/4, and so on. Now I also made these fraction circles in Connect Ed that may help you solve it. If you're multiplying, remember 9 times 3 is 27, so the answer would be 27/4. Again, we would have to make that into a mixed number in order to know if we have enough cups. The easiest way to do that would be to use your fraction circles. So if you break up a few of your fraction circle pieces and combine them with the other ones, you can make wholes. You're not creating any new pieces, but you'll get a mixed number as opposed to an improper fraction. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wholes and 3/4. Now we're going to go over your journal pages that you will have to complete. Suma and her sister Pooja are baking 12 blueberry wheat muffins for breakfast. The recipe lists the following ingredients: 1 cup white flour, a half a cup of whole wheat flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 3/4 of a cup of blueberries, 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, 1 egg, 1/2 cup of skim milk, 2/3 of a cup of honey, 1/4 of a cup of cooking oil, and 3/8 of a teaspoon of cinnamon. Now you're going to be solving the number stories below, and you can use equations or pictures to help you show your answer. For number 1, it has 4 parts. There's going to be A, B, C, and D. The sisters want to triple the recipe. If you're tripling something, you are multiplying it by 3. How many teaspoons of baking powder do they need now? How many teaspoons of salt do they need now? How many cups of whole wheat flour do they need now? And between what two whole numbers does your answer to problem 1C lie? So you would figure out what whole numbers the whole wheat flour is in between, the cups of that. On your second journal page, Suma and Pooja decided to bake 48 muffins instead of 12. Your first step is going to be figuring out what times 12 equals 48. That's what you would use to figure out what your new amount of ingredients would be. Then you're going to determine how many cups of blueberries did they use, how many teaspoons of cinnamon did they use, how many cups of honey, and then between what two whole numbers does your answer to problem 2C, the cups of honey, lie? Then you have your try this question. The sisters used 1 1/2 cups of cooking oil. How many batches of muffins did they bake? So you would write how many batches and explain how you know.